Hey everybody, Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com, doing our weekly recap and initial analysis of the Steelers' 2017 win over the Indianapolis Colts. Yes, it's a game that, as the story's been in so many of these this year, that coulda, woulda, shoulda been a blowout, or a comfortable, relatively speaking, as those things go in the NFL, victory for the Steelers. But you're all Steeler fans, you know how this stuff goes on the road, off the bye. Against a team that you should, beat down. It rarely happens for Pittsburgh like that. And another case of this team getting themselves in a hole early, down 10-0, down, what was it, 17-3. After the Colts' first drive in the second half. But bottom line, survive, advance, you get the victory. Those are so tough to do in the NFL, and when you do, you're generally going to be happy about it. Now, obviously, we're going to take as deep of a dive as we can. The Steelers play on Thursday, so we're not going to be able to do our kind of weekly or as our in-depth look into this game as we'd like to. But it's going to be a lot of things to talk about of how this team has to get better. But you're just happy that even in the middle of a game where a million things went wrong and there's a million things you can say that you have to get better at, you still find a way to get that victory. So there's kind of a silver lining to that, and it says something about the character and kind of strength and resolve of the Steelers team when they're able to do that. On the good side, the second half defense played really well. Outside of that first possession where the Colts get that 60-yard touchdown to Chester Rogers, the defense really clamped down. Butler made some good adjustments and being able to manufacture pressure because the front four, disappointingly so, was not able to get to Brissett and a Colts offensive line that's probably bottom 5 in the NFL. But Butler made the adjustments. They were able to get some pressure, and they sacked him 3 times in the second half and put a lot of pressure on and knocked Jacoby Brissett out of the game a couple times. So you started to feel the heat that way. Missed fewer tackles than they did in the first half, which was a huge problem. How shaky Shazier and a lot of the rest of the defense was. You're able to overcome that. Offensively, you did well in some situational football. The third down offense got off to a really bad start. They ended on a high note. I think probably something like 4 or 5 or 4 or 6 to kind of end things, I believe. The red zone offense was strong. I think they started the game 2-2. I forget how they finished it. But so they were able to do enough things to kind of keep themselves in the game and be able to finish the drives that they got, before the fourth quarter to try to get back into that game. The run game, not as impressive as you thought it would be. You can say that about really the whole team. But, Bell seemed a little bit, I know some people said it. I know obviously he's not the fastest guy and it's not his biggest trait, but he seemed a little more sluggish, and sometimes I thought he was going to get the corner or get away from a defender or make a linebacker miss in the open field that he didn't. But there weren't a huge amount of running lanes, and he was able to get some decent yardage whenever it was blocked and, create a little bit as well. Passing game, Ben, it's been the same story about not being able to find the vertical ball. The second play of the game to throw to Bryant. I mean, yeah, you could say that Bryant's got to play that ball better at the catch point, but that throws to the inside shoulder. The corner has a 5-yard cushion when Ben lets it go. The corner's able to find the football and track it instead of having to stay step for step with Bryant, not get his eyes to the football. So I thought it was a bad decision, and I thought it was really poor ball placement by Roethlisberger. We'll see maybe what he has to say whenever he's asked about it. But they made the timely plays late in the game. Definitely no bigger than the throw to AB on that final drive for 32 yards. AB was pretty quiet on this team. In this game today, spent most of the day I think with 2 catches for 15 yards or whatever it was. But then Ben finds him in a scramble drill for a 32-yard gain late that puts him in the field goal range. And Ben and AB are some of the best in the world at that scramble drill. Joe Hayden talked about that a couple weeks ago about kind of how in sync that they are. On that play, AB had just run a curl route, and the play broke down, and Brown moves to his left and gets in Ben's vision, and Ben finds him. So a pocket of vintage Ben, and we're going to have a breakdown that's either just gone up or is going to go up that'll kind of break down the play and what happened there. Some of that old school stuff we don't see a lot of anymore from Ben Roethlisberger. So just doing some timely things. The penalties, I think, got cut down a little bit in the second half, 9 on the day for Pittsburgh. Not where you want that number to be, but I'm pretty sure in the second half that number did come down some. You have to give your credit to the defense for forcing 3-and-outs that created, good field position for the Steelers because this offense definitely needed it. You have to give credit to Jordan Berry. He probably had his best game of the season. I could probably say that, with complete confidence that he has best game of the season. 6 punts for an average of 50 yards that helped pin the Colts back. And again, create long fields for that offense to go when the defense does their job, whether that's creating turnovers or getting, just forcing a punt, that the offense now has a short field to work with. So there was good, there was bad, there was ugly. You get the whole game. It's a typical Steelers game. Individual plays kind of on that same spectrum. Ryan Shazier, some ugliness throughout the game, missed tackles, times where he probably wasn't doing his job when he kind of freelanced and tried to go for the sack instead of staying in coverage. And there was the 1 third down where Brissett hits Mack for a gain. I think in the second half actually that happened, where it looked like that Shazier was supposed to have coverage on the back and he thought he had a chance for the sack, and he ended up not having that opportunity. But he gets the interception, which was a great play. He's supposed to blitz on that play, sees the screen, is able to get to the football and somehow come down with it. I still don't know how he did, and that was such a big play for the defense and into the offense at that point. So Boswell made the clutch field goal late, obviously to win it. A little bit of redemption after that. What was it, 37-yard miss that hit off the right upright. So that's kind of the story of the day. It was just redemption. An ugly start in every phase of the game. Obviously, you get to those breakdowns in coverage, and I've said before, I've been watching the tape every week, and you see some of those plays where the number 2 slot receiver gets open down the seam, or they bust the coverage, and even if teams don't capitalize on it, it's still on tape, and you're just waiting for the Steelers to finally kind of get bitten by it. And it's happened the last several weeks. It happened in the Bengals game in the first half. It's happening against the Lions multiple times, and it happened twice Sunday afternoon with the 2 60-yard touchdowns to Rodgers and Moncrief. The Moncrief one was Burns biting on a double move, and the second one was just not carrying number 2 down the seam. And I'm not entirely sure what went wrong on that play, but when Steelers play their spot drop zone, they don't always match those routes like other teams will. Seattle, for example, does a great job of matching those stuff. You get burned by it, by any sort of vertical concept by the seam guy, and I've seen that on tape several times before, and you just feel like it's a matter of time before teams finally take advantage of that and hit it. But like I said, the blitz got home. I think it really rattled Brissett, forced the ball out quick. Again, he got beat up a pretty good amount in that one. So, I think that was one of the biggest differences of how this team was able to get back into the game. Again, a lot of blame go around coaching staff for sure. Tomlin, the team just did not look sharp at all, really in almost any phase of the game in that first half. So that's going to be a reflection of coaching. Thought Todd Haley called a really weird game. Not all of it's his fault. AB had the drop, you had the Bennett interception, the Boswell missed field goal. I mean, you had the things that I wouldn't consider in his control. But Haley had said before the week that the Colts defense, because he was asked what did the Colts defense do well, and I was interested in the answer because I couldn't really think of a whole lot of things. But he said, they play good team defense. They're disciplined in their reads, and they're not going to get fooled a lot. And I felt like what Haley did was trying to fool the Colts defense, and it didn't work. Whether that was some of the false keys with the guards, some of the end arounds to Martavis Bryant, some of the two-way screens and stuff like that. It just didn't. It seemed counterintuitive to what Haley had just said a couple of days prior. So again, not all his fault for some of the execution stuff that went wrong, but thought it was a weird game by him. Even with that final drive where they're running it and they lose 7 yards on, I think that first down play, it felt like they were just playing for overtime. And it's like, where's the trust in the offense? Do you really have trust in these guys, or are you really kind of going into a shell? Now the offense ended up making some big plays that got them into that passing mode and let's go win it mode. But just a weird sequence there. Danny Smith, special teams as a whole, obviously not good enough. AB not getting under punts. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, sometimes you let stuff go, but usually those things kind of get mapped out where what the hang time is and what the direction is, and usually you're gonna have a good idea where the punt's supposed to land. It felt like that wasn't on the same page. You get the block extra point, which I couldn't tell 100% sure what happened, but from what other people were telling me and what I was able to kind of see, it looked like it came off the edge, and Jesse James might have allowed it, and that's been a constant problem for this team. I've written about that. I wrote about it November 1st, had an article on that about, allowing too much pressure and how teams were getting way too close for comfort for some of those blocks. And it happened again. Now, Jesse made a great play to go make the tackle. Credit again to Jordan Berry for slowing that one up and taking a smart angle to the football. because they get 2 points there. Who knows how that game ends up turning out. So a lot of issues. You talk about it, and the way you talk about it makes it feel like it's a loss, but it is a victory. You have obviously some injuries for really the first time all year where you get some major ones at some key spots. I know you lost Tuitt early in the year and you've lost Gilbert, but this game just felt a little different with Hayden, which the prognosis as of this recording, which is Sunday evening, seems a little bit better, where he might miss only a month. Hayden, we'll see on Mike Mitchell. I don't know what's going on there. Anytime you're carted off, that's obviously a bad sign. I don't think Tomlin gave much of an update on him. I believe there's a press conference tomorrow at noon for Tomlin. I'm pretty sure Monday at noon. But I don't know how much information he's going to have on that. My guess is probably not a lot, because it's still kind of doing x-rays, and he's probably not going to tell you a whole lot. But we'll see what happens. So Steelers have a short week to Tennessee. That means we have a short week, so we'll try to type up and write out as much information as we can on this game. Definitely do the basics, a full game review, a couple of the key plays, do our sack breakdown. We'll obviously do our charting, which I know you guys don't see the exact charting, but any key information from that we get, we'll certainly pass along. But yeah, we'll break this one down like any of the others. The AFC North, I think, is essentially locked up. I mean, you could have said that last week. It's only all the more true this week. Steelers 7-2. Ravens are 4-5 in second place. That's pretty much a done deal at this point. Steelers could probably lock this thing up in 2 or 3 weeks if everything kind of breaks right for them. That's just how far and away they are in first place right now. So bigger focus becomes on first place in the AFC. Get a bye, get home field advantage. Those are obviously the big keys. And again, it was an ugly look today, an ugly performance. Not going to make a lot of excuses about it, but you do get the victory, you do move on, and that's just the name of the game in the NFL. Sometimes those games are going to happen, and like I said, if you're a Steelers fan, you kind of come to expect that stuff. So it's got to get better in a lot of areas, of course. Not hiding from that, one bit, but you get the victory, and I'll sleep a lot better with a victory than I would have lost. And for a large chunk of this game, it felt like a loss was going to happen, just like it did against Chicago, just like it did against Jacksonville. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, whether you're watching on YouTube, Steelers Depot, or if you're following me on Twitter. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this game, where this team stands for the future. How confident are you in the assumed replacements, at least for some sort of period of time, for Joe Hayden and Mike Mitchell? Replacements being Rob Golden and Cody Sensabaugh. Let me know what you guys think about them and how well they can do, and any other guys you might want to see action. Wilcox or Cam Sutton should have a chance to come back, and Brian Allen's been there as well. I'm sure you guys will have a lot of discussion about that as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.